get some of this stuff. There's just so much of this crap in here. All right. Hey, tortoise. All right, let's get my net, and then it'll give me a better chance of getting all that stuff. Scoopy, scoopy. Is the pond mucked up? Actually, this is it's basically the end of winter here in Georgia. You know, February is kind of our last month of it, and it looks like we're gonna get like an early spring, or at least right now we're getting that. So I'm just I let everything build up so that there's a natural layer of like leaves and stuff for the turtles to be insulated during the cold. But the flip side of that is, as natural as that is, it's still a contained system. So you do have to like do a clean out. And I haven't done like a major clean out on this since I first got it. So I'm trying to essentially kind of go through and just get all the leaves and stuff out, and everything that's built up really over the last year or two. These are like these little seed pods from one of the trees that's over the house, and they build up kind of down here in the intake bay. So I'm using this Aquascape pond shark net to kind of go through and scoop up stuff where I can. There's like a cooter in there I probably just scared the dickens out of, but it's just like trying to get this stuff out, bring it over to here, and then go back after I get stuff out and like rake. But the trick is actually to start at the top of the pond, which is where I started, because everything that I knock loose is just going to come down to the bottom. That's why you see so much stuff down here. Oh, dude, you got a baby snapping turtle? That's awesome. Yeah, those are fun. The little baby common snappers are so funny and fun to watch, and they're really smart, and they learn fast, and they're interactive. They're pretty cool. There's a snapper right here on the bottom. Let's see. I don't know if you can see, but that's her head there. That's her body there. Here, I'm gonna flip it upside down so you can see underwater. There she is. Oh, yeah, so there's a little bit of everything in here right now. But I'm gonna go back up to the top because that's where I've been doing most of my work. This is probably gonna take a couple days. And I also want to kind of get this thing cleaned out and kind of figure out a perimeter, because, you know, now that I have a daughter, I liked this thing not being fenced in and the turtles having the freedom to kind of go everywhere. But now that I have, you know, essentially a toddler, I want to fence in and make sure that, you know, if she's out here in the yard with me, she's not going to escape my line of sight and get in here and get hurt or something. So I need to get this thing ready to have a fence around it, and also figure out how I'm going to pay for a fence to go around this thing, because it's pretty massive. It goes 60, I think it's like 60 feet by 50 feet or something crazy like that. So, and you know, you got to do your fence the right way. Oh, right here, little mountain tortoise enjoyed some water. Hey, buddy. He's hanging out with me while I'm working. And so I have a lot of these plants. You know, these are like some kind of native lily. A lot of these plants I never planted in here, and these lilies are one of them. They just kind of popped up on their own. I like the way they look, and I also like that they have like kind of a cool root system. And some of my smaller turtles, in the parts of these where these roots are underwater, they can actually go and get underneath that and hide under that. So it creates even more structure and even more safety for them. So I really like that. But yeah, some of it is just as simple as just taking handfuls of muck and leaves and just pulling it out. and getting it cleaned up. So yeah, pretty basic stuff. I did this last year, but I did like basically a much lighter version of this where I was pretty much just pulling leaves and not really working the plants. And when I did this last year, I was finding baby map turtles. So there is stuff that's hatched in here that does turn up when I do these. So yeah, potentially baby map turtles, baby cooters, musk turtles, all that kind of stuff shows up in here. And in the past, I've actually had musk turtles from the creek that runs behind my house move into here. There's a common musk turtle that lives in here that I never even put in here. So yeah, stuff does seem to magically find its way in here. Just lots and lots of leaf muck, but that's just part of it. I also, so for the first 24 hours, I actually leave this stuff near the edge of the pond, because if there is like amphibian larvae or snails, I want them to be able to actually find their way back to the stream. So I'm not just completely kicking them out. Yeah, Aquascape should have swum. Well, I think me and Kenan are like 10 hours apart. We don't live that close to each other. But yeah, it would be cool if they swung by. I know that I think Whitstock doesn't like me because the last few times he wanted to swing by my place, it was either last minute or like my mom had died or I had trapping. And I think he got frustrated that he could never coordinate with my schedule. And I do have a hectic schedule, I admit that. But I think after that, he got kind of mad and like blacklisted me from Aquascape. So I don't think they'll be coming back. Hey Bob, hope you're doing good. I'm making the most out of a nice day and getting as much stuff done in the backyard before I'm on daddy daycare. Lots and lots of this stuff. This is papyrus. My buddy Dan hates this stuff, and I think a lot of people with ponds, you know, you end up with it at first. I think Aquascape planted this in here, and I think a lot of people end up actually later on not liking it and pulling it out because it does kind of get all the way down to the liner. But this pond, its original intent was to house alligator snapping turtles. So they basically, everywhere there's liner, there's also an extra layer of underlayment to protect the liner. So even if it gets below the gravel, it's just going to lock into underlayment. Whew. But yeah, it gets kind of murky and then washes down to here. We can see if we can find a turtle while I'm on live. Yeah, I have a pretty crazy life outside of YouTube. I'm a wedding photographer. I do, field work for Georgia DNR, U.S. Fish and Wildlife. I also have a personal life. And when my mom died, that really complicated a lot of things for me and my family. And, that whole year when that happened and following that, it just made it hard for me to do anything. And I think that was a big point in time for, hey, there's an alligator snapper. A big point in time for Aquascape to come and do a follow-up at my place. And I wish it could have happened because, I know they like to do like Shaq's place and then mine on the same trip because we're both in Metro Atlanta. So yeah, I tried to make it work. It just, it's hard with my schedule. Even sometimes scheduling normal stuff, it's hard because with the trapping, especially if it's in trapping season, we could basically say, hey, this week we're going to be trapping, and then weather can change things and we have to bump it a week, and that's kind of what happened. I think I told Greg I was free October 16th or whatever it was, and then my mom died, and then also I had trapping moved to that week, and so I get paid to do it, so it's a job and I got to get it done. So yeah, it is what it is. It's been a while now. That was 2022. So yeah, I have no beef with those guys. They just don't mess with me anymore. So it is what it is. But I have like the most amazing stream in my backyard because of them. So I'm eternally grateful. And I think my turtles are grateful too because they have an amazing life in here. I think I'll do a video once this thing is cleaned out and the plants start growing in. Maybe I'll do kind of a video review talking about, like the pros and cons of a pond like this, because a lot of people ask me about it, especially if I go to like reptile shows or events and I get to meet people in person. A lot of times this is kind of the subject that comes up the most, is asking about this. And a lot of people want to know how much it costs to maintain, because Aquascape has like a huge presence. And, I think that in the world of keeping animals and stuff, especially in your backyard, they're kind of the first that comes to mind because of all their social media stuff. So I think it'd be pretty good to kind of talk about my, ownership experience. Let me answer some questions instead of babbling. Let's see. How many different species of turtles and tortoises do I have? Let's see. Let's start with things like cooters and sliders. I've got yellow-bellied sliders, red-eared sliders, Cumberland sliders, river cooters, Florida cooters, red-bellied cooters, northern red-bellied cooters, Rio Grande cooters. And then map turtles, I have Mississippi map turtles, Texas map turtles, and then loggerhead, intermediate, and striped neck musks, striped mud turtles, Mexican mud turtles, Florida soft-shelled turtles, let's see, Gulf Coast, three-toed, and eastern box turtles, Florida box turtles, let's see, Salvini musk turtles, the Mexican giant musks, and then some of these I'm forgetting, so I'm trying to cluster them, but I'm remembering as I go. And then also, let's see, spotted turtle, southern painted turtle, eastern painted turtle, and then keeping with aquatics, hybrid snapping turtles, and then Apalachicola alligator snapping turtles, western alligator snapping turtles, hybrid snapping turtles, common snapping turtle. Let's see, what else do I got? Tortoises, yellow-footed tortoise, red-footed tortoise. When I say redfoot, cherry-head tortoise, black Burmese mountain tortoise, sulcata tortoise. That's all I can remember off the top of my head. I actually have like a for my permits, I actually have like a full species list that's updated, and it's pretty long. And whenever people ask me, I always like rattle off a bunch of stuff and then remember more later. Oh yeah, like example, Hyosemis grandis, the giant Asian pond turtle. I have some of those. I have what else? I feel like I have more than just that. And then I also have snakes. I have pine snakes, bull snakes, Florida king snakes. I also have little American alligators. What else do I have? Two-toed amphiuma. Quite a few things. I think there's just a lot of stuff that's never really been on the channel, but it's just like kind of my education stuff. Yes, so education is a requirement for my permits. So Georgia DNR requires, I think, a minimum of 12 education hours per year, which is actually pretty easy to do. Most of my events are, by the hour. Some places will book me for 2 hours. So if there's like a science fair, or if there's like an event at state parks or something, usually I'll do 2 shows, so 2 1-hour shows. And then I don't know whether they count my YouTube channel or not. It is mentioned on my permit information, so I just assume they're not counting YouTube, so I don't really include that. But I also do things like Georgia DNR officer training. So it'll basically teach them how to identify different turtles and tortoises, how to handle them in the event that like a law enforcement officer has to confiscate some turtles, or, just has like, maybe something questionable and they need to know what's what. So in the spring, they have like a officer training program, and you basically go in and there's a bunch of, law enforcement officers, and you just show them turtles, same as everybody else. So I do that one. This past year I did a shoot with Wild Kingdom. I'm probably going to list that on there just because I was there in an educational capacity, and it's an actual tangible episode that they can watch, and it was, broadcast worldwide. So I don't know. In my opinion, that counts more than my YouTube videos. Do I keep pine snakes outdoors? I want to. I'm thinking I want to try and find a place out here where I can add on to an existing enclosure, but to build a snake enclosure, it needs to go like underground and be, enclosed, locking top. There's a guy in New Jersey. Oh gosh, what's his name? He's been on Kennan's channel and Chris Leone's, but he has pine snakes outside, and I saw that and I was like, oh, okay, I need to do that. So I think I'd like to create like basically a huge box. And, I could maybe even do it out here by the garden or something, or back in that corner, and create basically a huge box, goes underground, and then, yes, owl roach. And basically maybe have a section that's pine snake, and then a section for the bull snakes. A king snake, man, they're like masters of escape. I mean, bulls and pines are too, but they're so big, I think you have a little bit more leeway for keeping them outside. Whereas a king snake is like, I don't know, man. It's like one of those like prison escape movies. Those guys are like masters. They're like probably picking locks and stuff. This is for the stream. They give you this fake rock, and so your pump controllers are actually underneath this fake rock. So I just lift this thing up, and I've got 2 pump controllers under here, and then that's the dosing system. And so these control the pumps for the pond. So I've got one that's kind of the main pump, and you can have them on settings 1 through 10 for both of them. What I do is I pretty much only run one of them, 90% of the time. And then when I do clean outs, or if I have somebody over and they just really want a lot of moving water or something for something they're filming, or, just to see how it works, I'll turn on the other one. But, when you have both of them going, especially both of them going at the highest setting, it uses a lot of power, and it also is a little unnecessary. So I just kind of use the one, but it's neat. This fake rock is kind of fun. Most people like see all the other rocks and they think that this is one of them, and then I just flip that thing over and they start laughing. It's also awesome because snakes hide under this, skinks hide under it, frogs hide under it, hatchling turtles get under that, because those little pump controllers put out like the tiniest bit of warmth, so they'll actually go and like sit on top of those. So pretty cool. Oh yeah, the Waterland tub with a lid's actually a good idea. I got those Ava Tuvin things, and they're pretty cool. They're not very big. I think if they made a bigger one, and instead of using wood, they use like that recycled plastic material, I think you could probably keep, pine snakes and stuff outside in those, especially if they were a little bigger. You could keep those outdoors, and you add like a gasket, around the lid so that it has a much better seal. Yeah, thanks for telling people to do a thumbs up. This is honestly, I think, my second or third attempt at doing YouTube Live. The other times I tried it a few years ago, it kept crashing on me. And then when I was out with my buddy Noah the other day, he was the one talking about, doing more YouTube Lives. And my friend Jason does it on his channel, Southeastern Reptile Rescue. So I'm thinking, maybe instead of doing the lives on Instagram, maybe I'll just start jumping on here and doing them on YouTube. So yeah. But yeah, down here at the bottom, look at this layer of leaves. This is so thick. And if you look, there's like little snails and snail eggs and stuff in there. Look right there. That is a ram's horn snail. So I'm just gonna move this up here. And then because I have loggerhead musk turtles in here and razorback, I'm gonna go through and try and find all the little snails and move them back into the pond if I can find them again. There's one. So that's a ram's horn snail. And so I like to provide snails for my musk turtles to eat. It's a good natural diet. So yeah, there you go. Let the musk turtle find that. And then for all the ones I don't find, I just put them right here by the edge of the water. And there's another one, ram's horn. There's also a limia snails in here, which is a bit more like what they eat in the wild. And then I also have some mystery snails in here, which I saw one the other day, and they're quite a bit bigger and they're very invasive. So whenever I encounter mystery snails, I try to remove them, but bring them to here so that turtles can eat them. The caveat to that is anything that I wear in here, like as far as footwear, if I'm getting in and out of the water, I want to make sure is not something that I go herping in, because I definitely don't want to, accidentally transfer invasive snail eggs to some of the places I go herping, because you don't want those invasive snails in there. So I definitely, you can see I have like my terrifyingly white feet in flip-flops, and these are what I wear when I'm at home, and my herping footwear is completely different, because you don't want to transfer stuff from the wild to your house, but especially you don't want to transfer stuff from a captive collection to the wild either. I feel like it's more devastating to bring a bunch of random crap to the wild. Shouldn't be there. And then this looks like, look at it, it's like a finger. Hey. So this is actually one of the plants that lives in here. So I'm gonna actually tuck this back into here. This area gets some sun, and we'll just set this guy up so that he can grow here in this little nook. There we go. That little nook is nice. Actually take some of this leaf matter and pack around it so you get some nutrients. There's also I think a pickerel weed that pops up out of here every spring and summer as well. But man, when you're surrounded by giant hardwoods and pines, you just end up with so much stuff in your pond. I can see why some people would put a net over their pond if they don't like this, because it is definitely a lot of work. Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate that. I'm going to put the $10 towards the safety fence for my daughter. It's one of those things that I never thought I would end up a parent, which is a weird word for me. But, once you end up with a kid, they're kind of all you think about. And so now I just want to make sure that she doesn't like come running down here to play. And, I was watching that Dexter Original Sin, and there's like a scene with like Harry's first son, and I'm like, man, I definitely don't want that. But I'm going to teach her how to swim and play in here, though, because when it gets hot in the summer, I like to sit in here. It's super nice. Let's see if we can see some turtles. We did see a small alligator snapper up there, so maybe we'll pull him out for a look. If it doesn't disturb his little spot. Yeah, you can see pretty good look at him. They just like get underneath this stuff. And that's why I kind of created all these little intersecting logs. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling the springtime itch. I mean, I was talking with, my boss for trapping yesterday when we were out looking for indigos, and I was like, man, it's getting to be time. I'm really feeling like I want to start maybe pulling out traps and cleaning traps and getting the car ready to maybe do an experimental session where I see if I can, maybe trap some turtles in the wintertime. Let's go over here. We'll look at Tony's pond before I jump off of the live and back into working. It's hard for me to actually work and do this at the same time. So this is Tony's pond. The Aquascape, actually it was the Aquascape pump controller was over there, and that thing blew a fuse, and there's no way to just simply replace the fuse. I took it apart and they solder it in, and there's no way for me to, I took it out, but there's no way for me to put a new one in. So you basically have to buy a new one. It's like $197. So right now I'm just saving up to get one of those so that I can put it back in, hook it back up to the pump that runs the skimmer. So right now I'm just running a simple pond pump in the skimmer, and I did that basically so we're moving some water, we're creating some oxygenation so that he can go through winter and have plenty of oxygen in the water. But yeah, so once that happens, then the biofalls will be running again. We'll have some current and flow in here. So just got to get that new Aquascape pump controller. And then I talking with my dad, who knows a lot about electricity, and he was saying, you know, you basically need to have in front of the pump controller something else with a fuse so that you can blow that fuse instead of the one inside the controller. So I don't know anything about electricity, so, but I think if we go over here, oh, look at all the anoles. Yeah, so I have this, this is just like some landscape cloth, and I use this for when I build habitats. I'll actually put this underneath rocks, but it has become hibernacula for native lizards. And so I actually have a really good population of these anoles. Hey buddy, how are you? I haven't seen you before. I know I've seen some of the other ones, but there's another one with like kind of a nub tail. Oh, there's a little one. Yeah, like maybe a pair, because that looks more like a male and the other one looked like a female. So yeah, when I have stuff like this, it ends up being hibernacula. So I just leave it, you know, like let everything kind of enjoy it and take advantage, you know. So we'll go over here. Yeah, here. So yeah, I basically just crammed another pump inside this thing, and so it's just drawing water slowly and rerouting it. And let's see, we'll see some Gulf Coast box turtles over here. Oh, the waterland tub with a basking peninsula cooter. And this waterland tub will end up becoming the new alligator enclosure. And I think those baby gators will live just fine with the cooters. They're not big enough to hurt the cooters, and the cooters are so mellow, they're not gonna mess with the alligators. All right, so I think I see, yep, right there, Gulf Coast box turtle. This is the female. So this is a female that lays eggs for me every year. So she's active, and I think the other day, yep, that's one of the males right there. So yeah, the Gulf Coast box turtles have been pretty active. You can see the spots where they went through winter are much deeper. They kind of come out of there. So pretty cool stuff. Thank you guys for joining me on this first successful live. My little fire pit. I'm gonna get back to working on this stream. I've got to do daddy daycare starting at 3 o'clock. So I've got about an hour to knock out as much as I can. So thank you guys so much. And I'll be doing this hopefully weekly, and maybe even come up with a schedule for it so that people know when to kind of look for it. So thanks everybody. Appreciate you all. New video up on the channel today, and then this will be an actual full YouTube video sometime next week. So thanks again. See you guys. Bye.